The southwest Idaho desert is a landscape steeped in history. South of the town of Kuna, a memorial stands testament to a tragic day in the history of wildland fire. On July 28, 1995, during mop-up on a 120-acre brush fire, something went terribly wrong. 2 firefighters lost their lives.
This wasn't any extraordinary fire at the time. It had good fire length. If you're on the end of the hose, it's something that a lot of people cherish. They like to fight fire. As you will learn later, when the fire breaks out and the wind hits, it becomes extraordinary. That day it's a tough day for all of us. It's not a good memory, and I appreciate the fact that the Bureau and the rural fire departments are trying to say what are our lessons learned. That's the best, so the individuals do not pass in vain.
July 28th, afternoon. A dry cold front sweeps into southwest Idaho, bringing gusty winds and dry thunderstorms. Lightning from the storms sparks dozens of wildfires. At 18:29 hours, Danskin Lookout reports a fire 16 miles southwest of Boise. The BLM Boise District Dispatch responds, sending the Wild West unit, consisting of local Type 4 and Type 6 engines, a supervisor to serve as the incident commander, and an attached Type 4 severity engine. More resources are soon dispatched. Boise BLM Unit sees 2 Type 4 engines and a Suburban driven by the unit leader, a Type 4 severity engine, a water tender, and a dozer. Upon arrival at 1900, the IC makes his initial size-up of the point fire. 60 acres in size, burning in mature sagebrush and heavy grass. Flame lengths of 3 to 5 feet on the flanks, winds from the west at 4 to 6 miles per hour. At 19:05 hours, the incident commander receives a radio call from the fire chief of the Kuna Rural Fire District asking if he needs any assistance. The IC asks for a brush truck and water tender. The Kuna fire chief contacts the county dispatch center and requests 2 engines and a water tender to respond to the brush fire south of town. The IC's initial strategy: keep the fire from crossing Swan Falls Road. He assigns engine 29, the Type 6, to hold the road, burning out where necessary. The other engines, 6-7 and 425, follow the IC to a point near the origin at the southwest corner of the fire. He instructs them to anchor, split up, and directly attack the flanks. The dozer arrives to secure the heel and construct line to the east to prevent fire spread into the National Conservation Area to the south. A helicopter departs the Boise airport at 18:57 en route to the fire, where it picks up the IC for a short reconnaissance flight. During the flight, BLM Unit C arrives on scene on Swan Falls Road. Engines 6-1 and 8-3 are assigned to work the north flank. Engine 09 will work the south flank. The Unit C crew leader stays back to assist 2-9 in holding Swan Falls Road.
We had to make sure we secure both anchor points on the north and south flanks, which we did. I participated in that. Meanwhile, my crew is going to start down the north flank. At that point in time, the Kuna engines come into play.
At approximately 19:30 hours, Kuna engines 620 and 622 and their water tender arrive on scene. The Kuna Rural Fire District captain instructs the engines to stay together and work behind the BLM engines on the north flank. He arrives on scene riding an engine 620 and is dropped off on the road with the water tender to act as Kuna command, as directed by the fire chief. The BLM engines begin flanking the north line westward from Swan Falls Road. They are held up by a small flare-up as they cross a fence line. CUNA 620 and 622 drive around them in tandem and knock down the flames using nozzles on their front bumpers. At 2010 hours, the IC updates his dispatch center. The engines on both flanks have met, and fire spread has been stopped at approximately 120 acres. At 2022 hours, the BLM dispatch center reports a red flag warning for dry lightning and locally gusty winds. At the incident, wind gusts of up to 50 miles per hour are predicted from a thunderstorm moving northward at 30 miles per hour. The IC alerts the engines along the northern perimeter to anticipate gusty winds. CUNA 620 and 622 proceed with mop-up westward along the northern flank, then south around the west end, finally turning east. They pass by the dozer and BLM engines, ending up at a fence on the southeast corner of the fire. There, Engine 622 meets with Engine 29. They receive direction over 29's radio to turn around and work back around the fire perimeter, soaking it with water. Working in tandem, they head west along the southern line. They continue to the southwest corner, then hook north, where 622 runs out of water. 620 then takes the lead. At this point, CUNA 622 radios the IC for direction. The IC instructs 622 to refill with water and stand by due to the predicted high winds. 622 pulls off the line and drives east through the burned area toward Swan Falls Road. Just prior to reaching the road, 622 receives a call from 620 on the agency tactical channel, advising that their vehicle is overheating. 622 instructs them to remove the screen from the radiator, and 620 acknowledges. Engine 622 continues out to Swan Falls Road and turns south to meet with their water tender on the southeast corner of the fire to refill. Soon after 622 leaves the line, CUNA 620 passes engines 61 and 67 on the west end of the fire. No communication is exchanged.
We do not know if Engine 620 actually heard the red flag warning. They still took the course of action that they did. They may have known and decided this is what we want to do, and they may have had every reason in the world to do that.
For unknown reasons, 620 then turns north on a two-track road at an intersection near the fire's northern perimeter. They travel northward along the road, then turn off the two-track and drive northeast cross-country through heavy sagebrush. At that point, the vehicle stalls. 620 sits immobile 713 feet west of Swan Falls Road and 1,750 feet north of the fire perimeter. At 2046, the fire, fanned by strong southerly winds from a thunderstorm, escapes the northern perimeter at multiple locations. The BLM Unit C crew leader and a fire investigator drive north on Swan Falls Road to observe the fire behavior and scout new control lines. Here, they witness the CUNA engine in the path of the oncoming flame front.
I drive down the road to this spot over here that's marked by the memorial there, and to my horror, I see this engine out there. Okay, it was stopped.
They repeatedly attempt to radio 620 and CUNA Command on the Incident Tactical Channel, but receive no response. At the time, they do not know if the engine is occupied.
I'm calling, looking for more information, for more input. Are they there? And if they are there, is there going to be time for them to jump in my carryall? We're going to drive through the fire, because I don't think I can drive away from the fire. I was desperately looking for movement. Movement around the engine, movement of individuals maybe running for the fence, running somewhere.
At 2049 hours, Engine 620 calls CUNA Command on the county radio frequency. "We're on the north line. We've got fire coming hard. This thing has died." 1 minute later, 620 calls the commander again on the same channel. It's not going to let us out of here. The CUNA fire chief then calls. What kind of problem do you have? Engine 620 replies, we're surrounded by fire. The chief asks him to repeat. The truck has been overtaken by fire. This is the last radio transmission heard from Engine 620. The fire continues to move rapidly and burn intensely. Flame lengths exceed 20 feet. Rate of spread is an estimated 560 feet per minute. It takes only 4 minutes for the fire to overrun the truck.
We try to organize a strategy as what, if anything, can we do to go out there and see what happened. Are those firefighters in that vehicle or not?
Rescue efforts are hindered by fire duration and intensity. Blowing smoke and residual heat render the first few attempts to reach the engine impossible.
And so a couple members of the salmon crew attempt to get out there. It's too hot. The CUNA commanders are coming up the road because they know there's an incident, and they're going to assess that situation to see what they can do to provide a rescue.
At 21:21 hours, Engine 620 is still on fire. CUNA 622 is the first to reach the vehicle and extinguishes the flames to gain access. 622 then notifies CUNA command of 2 fatalities. The fire continues to burn. When contained approximately 5 hours later, the point fire has consumed over 10,000 acres.
So that was the event at that point in time. It was a tough time.
The deaths of Bill Buttram and Josh Oliver were not the result of a single circumstance, but the consequence of a chain of unfortunate events. Individually, each factor was survivable, but when their departure from the safety zone and the mechanical failure of Engine 620 compounded with communication failures and 50-mile-per-hour outflow winds, the combination proved fatal. The Point Fire Accident Investigation set forth numerous recommendations to strengthen the collaborative efforts of agencies and cooperators in fighting wildfires. The effects of these recommendations are apparent today.
I believe that the point fire and the unfortunate results thereof was probably the catalyst that brought together our community to say, there's a better way. We do not have to fight fires this way, and collaboration and cooperation is how we now fight fires.